That man is best educated who knows the greatest number of things that are so, and who can do the greatest number of things to help and heal the world. Education is preeminently a matter of quality, not amount. Any man can learn anything he will, but no man can teach except to those who want to learn. The short successes that can be gained in a brief time and without difficulty are not worth much. Nothing can be made except by makers. Nothing can be managed except by managers. Money cannot make anything, and money cannot manage anything. We are entering an era when we shall create resources which shall be so constantly renewed that the only loss will be not to use them. Two classes of people lose money: those who are too weak to guard what they have, those who win money by trick. When people are stung in false investment schemes, there are three causes: greed of something for nothing, sheer inability to know their mind, or infantile trustfulness. What right have you, save service to the world, to think that other men's labor should contribute to your gains? The remains of the old must be decently laid away, the path of the new prepared. That is the difference between revolution and progress. Most people think that faith means believing something. Oftener it means trying something, giving it a chance to prove itself. It is regrettable that people think about our monetary system and of our economic structure only in times of depression. The only prosperity the people can afford to be satisfied with is the kind that lasts. The gifted man bears his gifts into the world, not for his own benefit, but for the people among whom he is placed. People are never so likely to be wrong as when they are organized. The most closely organized groups and movements in the world are those which have been the least friendly to the people's progress and liberty. With all the wealth of the world at hand, there are human beings who hunger, whole nations who suffer cold. Profits made out of the distress of the people are always much smaller than profits made out of the most lavish service of the people. Our modern industrialism, changed to motives of public service, will provide means to remove every injustice. Many people are busy trying to find better ways of doing things that should not have to be done at all. Politics in the true sense have to do with the prosperity, peace, and security of the people. If a young man wants to fit himself for the politics of tomorrow, let him fit himself into essential industry. Be ready to revise any system, scrap any method, abandon any theory, if the success of the job requires it. We are here for experience, and experience is a preparation to know the truth when we meet it. Competition whose motive is merely to compete, to drive some other fellow out, never carries very far. The competitor to be feared is one who never bothers about you at all, but goes on making his own business better all the time. Businesses that grow by development and improvement do not die. There is no failure except failure to serve one's purpose. Thinking calls for facts. Facts are found by digging. But he who has gathered this wealth is well equipped for life. Experience is the harvest of life, and every harvest is the result of a sowing. There is safety in small beginnings, and there is unlimited capital in the experience gained by growing. Progress is a new season, and the rule of progress is everything in its season. We live in an era of tremendous facts, and the facts are facts. Of all the follies the elder generation falls victim to, this is the most foolish. The philosophy of life indicates that our principal business on this planet is the gaining of experience. If the people really set their minds on anything, it is impossible to prevent their getting what they want. Yet if today has no meaning, the past was a blank and the future is a chaos. Work mixed with management becomes not only easier, but more profitable. Christmas stands for the human factor, which makes life tolerable amidst the hurry of commerce and production. The world is held together by the mass of honest folk who do their daily tasks. I do not believe that material accumulation is the whole of success. One needs to be successful in the conventional way to learn just how far away from success it may be. Youth should not be slandered. Boy nature and girl nature are less repressed, and therefore more wholesome today. An imitation may be quite successful in its own way, but imitation can never be success. The most dangerous notion a young man can acquire is that there is no more room for originality. Little difficulties are made to swell until they fill our horizon, while the real big blessings of life are dwindled down to nothing. Nations are great as they are prosperous, as they are industrious, as they are just. There is nothing ever wrong with ability, ambition, achievement, but they can easily be wronged by being used to bad ends. To be good is not enough. A man must be good for something. The sense of injustice, more than the unjust condition itself, is what wears on men's minds. The partnership of mind and matter is one which has existed since the beginning of time and cannot be dissolved. The only true test of values, either of men or of things, is that of their ability to make the world a better place. The satisfaction that arises from honest accomplishment is of far more value in the promotion of human happiness. Much depends on people knowing what opportunity means. It doesn't mean a silver platter. It oftener means a spade. The genius of the American people is self-reliance. A happy and contented nation is an example to the whole world. We are always seeking for those things which are in the clouds, not for those that lie at our feet. Whatever it is, people who have more spare time than people ever had before get the sense of whirlwind pressure. To resent efficiency is a mark of inefficiency. People who are capable of and fit for freedom liberate themselves from physical thraldom by substituting mind for muscle. Man minus the machine is a slave. Man plus the machine is a freeman. Every success is the mother of countless others. Whatever your goal in life, the beginning is knowledge and experience, or, briefly, work. Getting permanent value out of a job means purpose, and fitting means to ends. Man is a comparative being. Substandard things must go before superstandard things can come. All life is experience, and one level is exchanged for another only when its lesson is learned. War is not a matter for the professional pacifist or militarist. It is for the unprofessional people. Hard knocks have a place and value, but hard thinking goes farther in less time. As betting at the race ring adds neither strength nor speed to the horse, so the exchange of shares in the stock market adds no capital to business. A peaceful nation is one that has the means to make war and restraints, but to do for the world more than the world does for you, that is success. The industrial value of leisure as a promoter of the consumption of goods. Suppression of progress plays into the hands of the social enemy. Every advance in social justice establishes the nation. The country is ready for the 5-day week, says Mr. Ford. It is bound to come through all industry. Without it, the country will not be able to absorb its production and stay prosperous. The industry of this country could not long exist if factories generally went back to the 10-hour day, because people would not have the leisure, the desire, or the means to consume the goods produced. It is high time to rid ourselves of the notion that leisure for workmen is either lost time or a class privilege. The influence of leisure on consumption makes the short day and the short week necessary. where people work longest and with least leisure they buy the fewest goods. What I greatly hope for these children everywhere is a new attitude toward life free from the gullibility which thinks we can get something for nothing. Fairs and public displays are the best means we have yet found of showing large numbers of people the real methods of industry. No unemployment insurance can be compared to an alliance between a man and a plot of land. An educated person, I think, is one who not only knows a lot, but knows how to do a lot of things. We have had just one main purpose during these years, and that is to give the people transportation of the most dependable quality at the lowest possible cost. History is more or less bunk. America is not a land of money, but of wealth, not a land of rich people, but of successful workers. The basically simple things are best, whether it's automobiles or diets or philosophy. What America needs most is aviation. I can visualize the time when almost every family will have a small plane in their backyard. When bankers get into business, they usually destroy it. The Bible does not need advertising by me, but I wish more people could be persuaded to read it. Whenever you get the idea that you are fixed or that anything is fixed for life, you'd better get ready for a sudden change. Greatest thing we can produce is character. Look beyond the individual to the cause of his misery. If we had more justice, there would be less need of charity. The only thing you can give a man without hurting him is an opportunity. You've got to teach youngsters the difference between right and wrong, but you shouldn't try to poke it down their throats. Children have helped me a lot. Trouble with the world today is people don't go to children enough. I don't like old people. There should be rivalry between men and between business. Competition is the lifeblood of industry. As far as competition is concerned, that must continue. But we must learn what competition really is. I'd like to devote about 3 years to the elimination of the cow. The present method of producing milk is too laborious. We do not hire a man's history, we hire the man. The way out of the depression is to start spending and doing things. Depressions aren't acts of God, like wars. They are the work of a small group of men who profit by them. Mr. Edison was comfortably well off. He was not a moneymaker. Without doubt, Thomas Edison is my greatest contemporary. Edison, to a greater extent than has ever been recognized, is the father of American industrial methods. Although Mr. Edison was called the wizard of the electrical world, and everyone thought that electricity was the coming thing, he actually encouraged me to go with my second car. What is life but education anyway? I believe in 100% theory and 100% practice. Theory without practical application is futile. A man's college and university degrees mean nothing to me until I see what he is able to do with them. Teach children not to be gullible. A nation that knows how to work will never suffer. In teaching the children at Greenfield Village, we are trying to get back some of the solid McGuffey qualities. Greatest thing in life is experience. Even mistakes have value. That is what we are put in the world for. To get experience and to help others get it. It is the one thing no one can take away from us. The time is coming when man will be able to determine the length of his lifespan by controlling his diet. History doesn't mean dates and wars and textbooks to me. It means the unconquerable pioneer spirit of man. When I went to our American history books to learn how our forefathers harrowed the land, I discovered that the historians knew nothing about harrows. Yet our country has depended more on harrows than on guns or speeches. I thought that a history which excluded harrows and all the rest of daily life was bunk, and I think so yet. President Hoover has done everything anyone could do to bring about improvement in business and industry. Everything President Hoover has advised or tried to put into effect has been sound. The unhappiest man on earth is the one who has nothing to do. Idleness is the reason for many of our troubles. A monopoly of jobs in this country is just as bad as a monopoly of bread. This group, the union organizers, is asking us to sit still while it sells our men the jobs that have always been free. The great need of the world has always been for leaders. With more leaders, we could have more industry. More industry, more employment and comfort for all. Life, as I see it, is not a location, but a journey. Life flows. Machines were devised not to do a man out of a job, but to take the heavy labor from man's back and place it on the broad back of the machine. Machinery was invented by labor for labor-serving purposes. The wheel is the basis of the machine. For women have helped me mother, sister, mother-in-law, and wife. Music and song are, in my opinion, so fine and necessary a part of life that without them we cannot be said really to live at all. Poetry without music may be beautiful, but music gives poetry wings and elevates it into song. That may be the reason for our love of song. It has wings and lifts us. With proper songs, it is a nourishing spiritual exercise. Life is neither old or new, ancient or modern, but simply more or less vivid. Any song or musical composition will live that expresses or reproduces this vividness of life. From this you will see that I believe that music fills a great place. The teaching of it goes far to restore the balance and richness of life. And I might add, the unit of life also. I haven't put a pencil to a piece of paper, working out a problem, in years. I do it in my head. Every man is entitled to make a darn fool of himself at least once in a lifetime. Regarding Great War Peace ship, public officials are all right if they stay in their proper sphere and perform their proper functions, but when they get greedy for wider scope and more power and money, they lose their value and become parasites. People didn't want war, we were forced in it. How fast we finish it depends on how free a hand our generals and admirals have. The less interference they get from the politicians, the quicker they'll end it. I wouldn't have the presidency or any political office, don't want anything to do with it, nor have politics have anything to do with me. When prices go up, business goes down. You can't tell me you can make any system or country work with low wages and high prices. And high wages with high prices don't mean anything when the prices eat up the wages and don't leave anything over. Profits are not financial, they're social. Everybody profits from industry. Politicians don't understand profits because they can pay bills out of taxation. Three most deleterious things of modern life in their present order of importance are tobacco, alcohol, and intemperate eating. Both alcohol and tobacco are taboo in plants. I adopted the theory of reincarnation when I was 26. I got the idea from a book by Orlando Smith. Until I discovered this theory, I was unsettled and dissatisfied without a compass, so to speak. When I discovered reincarnation, it was as if I had found a universal plan. I realized that there was a chance to work out my ideas. Time was no longer limited. I was no longer a slave to the hands of the clock. There was time enough to plan and to create. I wouldn't give 5 cents for seeing all the world, because I feel there is nothing in the 5 continents and on the 5 seas that I have not somehow seen. Somewhere is a mastermind sending brain-wave messages to us. There is a great spirit. I never did anything by my own volition. I was pushed by invisible forces within and without me. We inherit a native knowledge from a previous existence. Gospel of reincarnation is essence of all knowledge. I do not know where we come from or go to, but we accumulate experience. Someday it will be possible to measure the soul. We all retain memories of past lives. Instinct is probably the essence of past experience and knowledge stored up for later use. There are many, who think that this life journey through the world is not the first one we have made. Haven't you ever come across children who knew things that it was impossible for them to have learned? Have you ever gone to a place for the first time and felt sure that you had been there before? That's one of the reasons I do not travel much. If we could get all religions together on a common purpose, the elimination of jealousies and the things that make men covet another's belongings, we would be a long way toward the goal of outmoding war, depression, and poverty. In the Ford Motor Company, we emphasize service equally with sales. A manufacturer is not through with his customer when a sale is completed. He has then only started with his customer. In the case of an automobile, the sale of the machine is only something in the nature of an introduction. If the machine does not give service, then it is better for the manufacturer if he never had the introduction, for he will have the worst of all advertisements, a dissatisfied customer. From the start, I had my own ideas about how the business should run. I wanted it to benefit everybody who contributed to its success: stockholders, labor, and the American public. A big business never becomes big by being a narrow society looking after only the interests of its organization and stockholders. Stock market never made business. Business makes the stock market. Stock in the Ford Motor Company would increase the cost of the car. I am only interested in reducing the price of our car. I believe that any stock that is sold should have real value as automobile or bushel of potatoes, and stock market should be run as a vegetable market. No American ought to be compelled to strike for his rights. He ought to receive them naturally, easily, as a matter of course. Anything that is not right, whether it temporarily favors the employees or the employers, cannot last because it is not right. Trees are among the most useful things grown. Paying good wages is not charity at all, it is the best kind of business. If the boss stands in the way of men getting what they earn, he is not fit to be boss. A low-wage business is always insecure. Cutting wages is not the way to recovery. Raise wages and improve the product. No one ever wins a war. Wars are necessary to teach us lessons we seem unable to learn any other way. Money will ruin the life of any man who treats it like anything but a tool with which to work. I don't expect to retire. Every man must work. That's his natural destiny. Only one thing makes prosperity, and that is work. The basis of peace should be a world federation. Worry is the most wasteful thing in the world. No one can be helped unless he can be put in the way of helping himself. People will try to fix world, but world will fix people. Efficient industry is the sole key to prosperity. Education, not just preparation for life, but part of life itself, a continuous art. Anyone who does anything useful will not go unpaid. Mark my word, a combination airplane and motor car is coming. Should a man quit at 40, he is failure. Retire at that age is sorry failure. There should be no unemployment. There is large percentage of labor now which cannot make a living because wages are not high enough. That is industry's second job. First job is to make good product. Second, pay a good wage. Most fashionable commodity in U.S. is going to be old-fashioned common sense and work. The home of tomorrow will make women free for work, free to work as they like, not as they are bound to do by the past. Work is the only real happiness. Industry itself has been modernized so that almost any job in industry may be taken over by a woman. There can be no lasting peace, where hatred exists. Hatreds will continue to arise as long as the causes of war are not rooted out and exposed. On collecting, I have been at it 10 years. I collect them so that they will not be lost to America. We have no Egyptian mummies here, nor any relics of the Battle of Waterloo, nor any curios from Pompeii. It is strictly American. At Edison Institute, we shall reproduce the life of the country in its every age. The farther you look back, the farther you can look ahead. When you once get an idea in which you believe with all your heart, work it out. We want to reproduce all those instruments which were prepared and used in America once upon a time. When we are through, we shall have reproduced American life as lived, and that, I think, is the best way of preserving at least a part of our history and tradition. Improvements have been coming so quickly that the past is being lost to the rising generation, and it can never be recovered. There is a great satisfaction in being associated with all these men and women who have lived such rich, full, and worthwhile lives. If we are to preserve our history, we must put it in a form that the children can understand, a form that will tell them the story of our country. A proper balance must be maintained between the needs of industry and the need of the people. There is no greater joy than to know that the future will be better for what we have done in the past. I like to go through life making as little noise as possible. It is better to create something than to destroy it. It's not the man who makes the money, but the money that makes the man. To a poor man, $1 is a big thing. To a rich man, $1 is small change. But both men will work to get it. It is not the employer's fault when the employee fails to perform. It is the fault of the system which allows such failure to occur. I believe in the goodness of mankind. We have learned to make things faster and cheaper, but we have not learned how to make things better. The business of this country is business. Our industries are fine, but they're only half the job. The other half is the people behind them. I will always stand by the working man, for he is the backbone of this country. To succeed in business, one must have the courage to take risks. The greatest challenge facing any business is not competition, but complacency. The world is built on ideas. We must continue to create and innovate. Success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I have always believed that the greatest service I can do to the community is to give people employment. The better the business, the better the life for everyone involved. The best way to predict your future is to create it. Great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together. Our future depends on our ability to adapt to the changing world. The purpose of business is to produce, to make life better for all involved. A man's life should be judged by what he has contributed to the well-being of others. Life is not about what you achieve, but about what you help others achieve. If you want to make a difference in the world, you must start by making a difference in the lives of those around you. Every business should be about building something that will outlast you. The more you give, the more you get in return. You must have a vision for the future and a willingness to work toward it every day. People who are successful are the ones who never stop learning and growing. The best way to lead is by example.